Welcome. Let's begin with conditional execution. Until now we have seen sequential execution of Python code, but sometimes we want to execute lines of code when the certain conditions are matched. Okay, so for that we can use if else statement. Okay, so in Python we can define if else like this: if after that the condition which gets evaluated to the boolean value, and based on that value, boolean value, if it is evaluated as a boolean value true, the statement inside the if statement get executed. Otherwise, if it is evaluated false, it will else part of a code block get executed. Okay, unlike the other languages such as C and Java, if Python does not use the curly braces in order to separate the code block. Instead of that, the code block gets separated using 4 spaces or the tab space. Okay, so after writing if statement, from the next line we will separate the code block using spaces. Okay, so whatever the lines of code which are separated by 4 spaces after the if statement will get executed when the condition given to this gets evaluated to true. Okay, so we can have multiple lines of code within the given code block which are having the same number of white space. Okay, and we can end this block of code into the next line by further separating the space or reversely giving the space. Okay, so if we after this statement, if we further make a for tab and write a print statement, it will mark the beginning of a new block. Okay, so we need to keep spaces according to it. Okay, so after that, those lines of code in if statement, if we have to again go back one tab space backward in order to mark the beginning of a else statement, and inside else we will again make a space of tab or the 4 spaces to begin the mark of a else block of code. Okay, so in this example we have taken a boolean variable which will obviously evaluated as a given value. Okay, so if we are checking the switch is true, then we will execute this statement, else we will execute this statement. Okay, so let's execute it. As we can see here, switch is given value true, so only the statement inside the if block code block gets executed and else block code does not gets executed. Okay, next is we will see when the switch is having value false, so only the else code block gets executed and if part of code block does not get executed. Next example is toggling the value of a variable inside if else. So based on condition we can also modify the variable value. So in this example we will toggle the value of a switch variable. Okay, if it is false we will make it true, if it is true we will make it as a false. Okay, so we are checking the same: if switch is having value true we are making false, if it is having value false we are making is true. So let's execute it. As we can see, before it was value false, and after switching you can see the value as a true. Now next is a not. So not will whatever the output of the expression or the value, not will be negate those boolean value. So if switch is evaluated to false, not will make it as a true. Okay, so for that, if it is switch is false, we are making it as a true. Okay, and else we are making it as a false. Okay, so same with the negation. As we can see, if it is false, it is made as a true. Okay. Next is a non-boolean value which are used for the conditional evaluation. Okay, so in Python it will not return, or it will not give you any error if you provide integer, string or a float value inside the condition after the if statement. Okay, it will convert it internally into the boolean value, as we saw earlier. Bool method, which converts the given value into the boolean value. Same way, so these are the integer value. If it is given 0 inside this function, it get evaluated as a false. Any positive or the negative value, integer value, it is evaluated as a true. For string, any empty string is considered as a false, and any non-empty string is evaluated as a true. For float value, any float value such as 0.0 and this are evaluated to false, and other positive or negative value is evaluated as a true. Okay, so same way as a boolean value, we can also pass this integer, string and float value. So let's see the result for the various integer, float and boolean values. Okay, so for first we will provide -1 and 0. As we can see, for -1 it returns true, which means if we evaluate as a true, and for 0 it is evaluating as a false. For float value also, for 0 it will evaluate as a false, and for any value other than 0 it is true. Same as for string, empty string gets evaluated to false, and in non-empty string is evaluated as a true. Next is how to check the variable is having blank value or the none value. So that is the major task in languages such as Java. So we need to first check whether it is null or not, then we need to check for the blank value, otherwise it raises error. But in Python we will see that we can just evaluate it using that particular string as it is none or not. Okay, so first we will use the identity operator is or is not. Okay, so is will check what the memory address of the given two variable or the object, they are matching or not. Okay, based on that, is will return true if both of the object are pointing to the variable or object are pointing to the same memory location. Okay, so first we will check the none value. None is a absence of any value, as we have saw in a variable type. So we can check the variable value as a identity operator, that the given variable is none or not. Okay, if it is none, then it will evaluate as a true, otherwise it is false. Okay, so as we can see, if box is none, yes, because it is empty, and if it is containing any value, by checking using identity operator is, it will evaluate to false. So as we can see, box is non-empty. Same as that we have explained earlier, for empty string such as in Java, first we are checking that it is in other language such as Java, or we are first check the whether it is none or not, null or not. Then after we will check the whether it is blank or not. Then we are able to access or print the given string. Okay. So this will execute only else part of it because string is having no value. Okay. But in Python, we don't need to write this much code. We just need to write if the given string variable. It will also check for the none also and blankness of string also. Okay. So if we execute it, as we can see, it is not raising any error, but it will evaluate blank string as a false value. Even for the none variable also, we can write, we don't need to check whether it is none or not like this. We just need to write the variable name and just execute it. It will evaluate as a false. Okay. So none gets, by default it is evaluated as a false because it marks as a absence of any value. Okay. That is always false. In this identity operator, we are checking the identity of the operator, but we don't need to check. Okay. By generally just we need to write if that variable name, okay, then it will get automatically it will get evaluated as a true or false. Okay. Identity operator have their own meaning when we are dealing with the objects. Okay. So in object oriented programming, we will see their special use cases, but for conditional execution for using string or none value, we don't need to use that operator. Okay. We just write their variable name. It will automatically evaluate it to the Boolean value. Okay. Next topic is comparison operator. So these are the comparison operator. Double equals to, it will check, compare the value of a two variable or object which are given to it. Okay. So identity, comparing to the identity operator checks the memory address of the given variable. This will check the object value which are stored at the given memory location. Okay. So variable just holds the memory location of that object. It will go to that object and it will extract the value from that object and compare it to the other variable. Okay. So for comparison of value of given two variable or object, always double equal to is used. Okay. And for the negation of that value, not equal to is used. This is less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than equal to. Okay. So let's check the example. So in this example, we are using a new built-in function which is input. So input takes one argument which is a string. First of all, input will prompt a user to give a input. So in console, it will ask the user to give a input of a single line. Okay. Whenever you press the enter, it will convert that input into the string and return the string object. Okay. And it takes one argument which is a string which gets printed when this statement get executed. So it will print this message on the console. So we need to enter the marks. Okay. So this example will, based on the given input value by user, it will tell you whether the candidate is pass or the fail. Okay. So we are converting that string into integer in order to make the comparison. Okay. So we are checking here that if marks are given are greater than or equal to 36, the candidate is passed, or otherwise it is failed. Okay. So let's execute it. As we can see, input is given the message this, enter the marks, so we will give only integer value, otherwise this function will raise a value error. So if we are providing values, suppose 66, as we can see, if parts gets evaluated as a true, and it will print congratulations. And if we execute same again with the marks less than 36, as you can see, else parts gets executed, which says you have not cleared the exam. Sometimes we have, these are the if and else, so only one condition, but sometimes we may want to execute multiple conditions, such as grading system. So if we have a grade such as A, B and F based on the marks out of 100, then we need to have a multiple conditions. Okay, so for that, if, elif and else are used, which will change the condition. So we can define the multiple condition using elif. Okay, so it will sequentially evaluates each condition from the top to bottom until it matches the condition or the certain condition it evaluated as a true. Okay, if none of the elif get evaluated as true, by default it will execute the else statement. Okay, from if and else there is only one condition. By default, if it is evaluated as false, it will execute the else code block. But in this if elif, if the it will start from the top and it will sequentially get evaluate until it found the expression which is returning the value, boolean value true. Okay, so in this example we will check that suppose the given marks is greater than 75, then we will print A plus grade. If 65 greater than 65, then A greater than 55, B plus, and greater than 35, then B grade, otherwise F grade. Okay, so it will also, so this example is also written such that the values are decreasing, so we don't need to check the above value. So above value gets filtered out automatically, otherwise we need to write it as a two condition. Okay, so this, in this case, because the values are decreasing, it will, we can check it. We make sure here that all the values greater than 55 are checked before this comes to the this condition. Okay, so let's execute it. So if we insert it 56, as you can see, it will, this condition gets evaluated as a true, so it will insert, it will execute those statements only and exit it. Okay, again if we execute it, suppose we are entering 85, first condition get evaluated as a true, and only the code block inside of that is executed, and all of the others it does not get executed. Next is a logical operators. So we have just defining only one conditional, so we may want to have, we may have multiple condition, and from that combined condition we may come to the conclusion whether to execute certain code block or not. So in order to combine multiple condition, this logical operator are AND and OR are used. Okay, so AND will combine those results, so all the expression combined with the AND needs to be true. If any of the condition expression joined with the AND logical operator if one of them gets evaluated as a false, the whole expression get evaluated as a false. And for OR, any of the expression if gets evaluated as a true, it will be evaluated as a true and not will negate the outcome of the given expression. Okay, so in this example we want to print greeting message based on the current time of the user. Okay, so we are taking a time of a local machine and we will compare it. If it is between 5 and 11 a.m., then we will print good morning, and it is between 11 to 5 p.m., then we will print good afternoon, or else we will print good evening. Okay, so we need to write it like this. So both condition are marked as a, it should be greater than or equal to 5 a.m. and it should be, hours should be less than 11 hours. Okay, so we have used logical operator AND to combine those expressions, which will both needs to evaluated as a true. Okay, so any number between 5 and less than 11 means 10, 5 to 10 will print good morning. Same for between 11 to 17, 16, it will print good afternoon, and so on. Okay, so let's execute it. So as we can see, current time is greater than 16, so it is printing the message good evening, because we have defined here less than. If we make it as a less than or equal to, same will print as a good afternoon. Okay, so this is logical operator AND. Python also allows ternary operator like this. So we can write if and else statement within the single statement. Okay, so whatever the outcome of if statement, if the given expression is evaluated true, first of all we need to write that result. Okay, and after the expression of else, we need to write the result of a else block. Okay, so in this example, based on this condition, we are checking that whether the given number is even or odd. If it is even, the value given before the if gets returned, and if it evaluated as a false, value given after the else gets returned. Okay, and we are printing that return value. Okay, so first execute for the odd number. So as you can see, it has returned the string containing odd number, and if we pass 22, it will return as a even number. Okay, next is a chain comparison. So earlier we saw that we are using logical operator AND in order to combine the multiple expression, but Python allowed chain comparison. Okay, in other languages such as Java, it may not allow you to write expression like this. So in this we are comparing multiple values within single expression. So we don't need to use logical operator in such cases. We just simplifies the expression. Okay, so we just write it that if the current hour is between 5 and 11, print good morning. If it is else, if it is between 11 to 17, less than 17, then print the good afternoon, else it will print good evening. So as we can execute, it will print good evening. Okay, So as if we compare it with the AND operator, again, as we can see, the code is more readable and we are writing the same code in less number of words. Okay. So that is the power of chain comparison. So chain comparison is not even restricted to 3 comparison. We can compare any number of comparison operator. So here we have used 4 comparison using 5 variable. So it will compare all of the given values and it will return the boolean value which is a result of it. So if we print it, it will evaluate it as a true because 5 is less than 6, 6 is less than 7 and 8 is less than, all of these are less than 8 and obviously all of these are greater than 1. Now we will see AND, OR and NOT operator using simple example. In this we have taken 2 variable. First one is false, I equal to false, which is a boolean variable, and w equal to 12.122, it is a false, which is a float variable. So if we compare it using AND, as we can see, the first value gets evaluated to false, it will print test as a failed. Okay. Or logical operator requires any one of the given expression should evaluated to true. So as we can see, first is the expression is evaluated as a false, but the second expression gets evaluated as a true because w is greater than this given value, so it will succeed. And this is the negation of the first AND expression. So this expression gets evaluated as a false, okay, because I is false and we are negating it, so it will make it as a true, so it will print test failed. Okay, so let's execute it. As we can see, it will print test succeed for the OR operation, and as for using NOT, we have flipped the succeed and failed statement because we are negating the same condition used for the AND. Next topic is understanding the lazy evaluation or the short circuit logic. Okay, so for AND logical operator, if we are providing more than one expression and if the first expression gets evaluated to false, it won't evaluate the next expression. So in this case, if the given value is less than 11, I is having value less than 11, it will evaluate this expression, but the second expression will not get evaluated because the first value is evaluated as false, and no matter other expression, whatever the value outcome of the other expression, it is going to get evaluated as a false. So Python does not evaluate those expression. Okay, so it will only for AND operator, logical operator, it will only execute the expression until it evaluates to true or end of the expression. So if we have two expression, if first is the expression is evaluated as a true, then and then it will execute the second. So for this example, we have used a function which will print, if it is get executed, it will print that the second expression is executed and it will return true value. So it will always return true value. So in order to know that whether this expression is evaluated or not, we are using this function. Okay, we will explain the detail of defining function in upcoming session, so don't worry about this, we have not covered yet. But this is for just example that whether the second expression is evaluated or not. And for the OR logical operator, it will execute until any one of the given expression gets evaluated to true. So suppose we have given two expression, and if the first expression is gets evaluated true, it will not execute rest of the expression, because unlike any other result, it will always gonna get it as a evaluated as a true. So we don't need to execute those. So let's see in action. So I is an integer value having 15. Okay, so for the end, if this is evaluated as a, this will be evaluated as a false. So as per our claim, it should not execute this function. So let's see what happens. As we can see, second expression is not evaluated, and it will goes to the else block, and it will print inside else. Okay, but what if it is evaluated as a true? So it will check for the value of a second expression, which is always evaluating as a returning true, as we can see here. So it should print first of all this value, and after the whole blocks is evaluated true, so it should print inside this. So first of all, I is greater than 11, and second expression will evaluate as always return true, so it will print this, and after this all the expression is evaluated as a true, it will print inside if. So as expected, this gets executed, it will print the value, second expression evaluated, and inside if. Same for the logical operator OR. If the first condition is evaluated true, then it will not check for the, whenever if it will find that any expression is evaluated true, it will not check the rest of the expression. So in this condition also, it will not execute the evaluate this second expression. So if we execute it, as we can see, and if the first expression is evaluated as a false, because I is not less than 11, it is greater than, then it will check for the second expression, it will evaluate it as a true because we are returning true, so it will print inside if. And before that, it should print that second expression is evaluated. As you can see here, it executes that second expression function, and after that it will print the statement inside the if block. Next topic is bitwise operator, which will perform the binary operation on the given variable. So AND is a binary AND, or XOR, this is one's complement, left shift and right shift. So what we will do in here in this example is, we taken the two integer variable and we will print their binary equivalent after performing this all bitwise operator to see and check the result of these operations. So let's execute it. As you can see, AND will perform bitwise AND. So if we check binary AND, it will evaluate to this, and OR will be evaluated this. This is XOR, so 0 1 will be evaluated 1 1 1 and 0. Okay, so this will be evaluated as a 0. Okay, this is one's complement, this is left shift, and this is right shift. Okay, next topic is operator precedence. So in expression we may use multiple operators. Okay, so without parenthesis, if we write any expression using multiple operators, then how it is evaluated. So this is the precision order for the operator. So within the given expression, from the top it will begin to search. If expression contains exponential, then it gets evaluated first, then second it will execute this, after that this will perform this, and so on. Okay, so if we have given expression certain like this, it gets executed like after this, making the parenthesis like this. Okay, so if we execute both of them, it should return the same value. As you can see, we have made it inside the parenthesis. So according to the given rule in the table, it will evaluate to the same result. Okay, so this precedence order of the given operator decides how the expression gets evaluated. Next topic is built-in functions. So these are the two built-in functions for the operator. So div mod will return tuple object which contains the two value. First is a quotient and second is a remainder value. Okay, so if we execute 100 divided by 8, so 12 is a quotient and 4 is a remainder. Next is power function. So it will return base raised to exponent. So 2 raised to 6, which is 64. So it returns 64. Next is an example, conditional execution example based on the given example. So in this example, we are gonna calculate the cost of the courier by given these values. Okay, so there are three types of courier. One is a state, national, and international, and they have all of three have a fixed charges, certain fixed charges, and these are the two types of courier service, regular and express service for each type of courier, and they are having rate of per unit of weight. This is the rate. So for weight 1, these are the rate of the value for the regular service and express service. Okay, so we will write conditional execution in order to calculate the final cost of the courier based on the given charges. Okay, so we have already written it. So first of all, we will check, we'll make if else statement of checking the courier type. So we will first check type of a courier is state, national, or the international. Okay, inside there we will again check whether the second argument, which is a service, is a regular service or the express service. Okay, so in each of the courier type we are checking whether the service is regular or the express service. Okay, and based on that we are adding the costs. Okay, so inside the same, first of all we are making the fixed charges adding to the cost, and based on the type of service in all of three we are multiplying the given cost with the given cost of the regular and express service with the given weight for all of the three types of courier. Okay, so this way we can use nested if else statement. Okay, so we can see here if statement is having inside if else. Okay, so if statement also code block contains if else block itself. Okay, so as we can see here, to further create a new block of code we are again giving 4 space to separate the code block, so which will mark the beginning of a code block, and again we can see this backward tab space which is reversing that, which will mark the end of the code block this. Okay, so let's execute and see the result for the national type of courier, which is having value weight is equal to 12 and service is regular. So this cost should be 12 times of 1.25 plus 0.75. Okay, so let's execute it. As you can see, it evaluates to this. If you want to verify it whether it is working as per the given value, then we can check the costs here. So 12 times 1.25 plus 0.75, as we can see it is calculating as per the given value. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video.